Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us today as we talk for a few minutes about Operation Guardians of Innocence III. As you know very well, one of the top priorities at the Sheriff's Office is to always protect a child from a sexual predator or a child pornographer. And our team at the Sheriff's Office is absolutely the very best at doing that, and this time is no exception. I'm going to go over some of the folks that we arrested and give you some details as we go along, but the process is as it is in the past. They are uploading, downloading, transferring child pornography of children engaged in sexual behavior with adults as young as 12 months old. That should just mortify all of us. But I want to give you our top poster child first. This is Wade Menard. Wade is 36 years of age, and he downloads his child porn on Sundays from his mom's house. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He received, in 2009, he was arrested and subsequently received a 25-year prison sentence for molestation of two children. One we believe was 7 years of age and the other 11 years of age. He appealed that 25-year sentence, and sometime during the appeal process, he agreed to 3 years in Florida State Prison and 15 years of probation. I don't have the details. We're still looking into how do you get a 25-year sentence down to 3 years in state prison. Well, after the dust settled, he spent 2 years in state prison and 15 years of probation. Now, subsequent to that, in 2018, we arrested him again for failure to register. And the system was tough on him that time. They added 6 more months of probation or community service or community monitoring to him for that violation. Now, I want to pause before I get to his 2019 events to point out to Senator Brandes, who wants to go from 85% sentencing down to 65% sentencing. You see, this guy started out with a 25-year. Somehow he ended up with 3, and it ended up with 2. I would say that's a very forgiving criminal justice system. Well, Brandes' law would let this guy out of jail early. Yeah, he could get out early. So when Senator Brandes wants to talk to you about low-level nonviolent felons getting out early, I want you to remember that it's not just low-level nonviolent felons, it's people like this. So our detectives, once again, not to be deterred by our liberal criminal justice system that lets very bad people out who sexually molest children at a young age, arrested him again. So now we've arrested him for 33 counts of possession of child pornography. You see, he hasn't changed, because leopards don't change, and neither do tigers. They don't change their spots or their stripes. So he's back doing the same kind of stuff. We already know that research shows us the vast majority of the people that view and watch and react to child pornography would sexually abuse a child if given the opportunity. Well, in this case, he did it in reverse. We first arrested him for the sexual abuse of child, and now we've caught him for child porn. Brad Copley, who is simply one of the very best prosecutors for Brian Haas, has this case, and I can assure you that Brian's going to make sure that he receives the attention of the criminal justice system, because that's the kind of prosecutor that Brad is. So, at the end of the day, you think that's the whole story. There's more to the story. While he's been out, guess where he works? At Computer Plus in Winter Haven. You know, he could have come to your house on a house call. He could have entered your computer from the office, because they will do online repairs. That's right, Computer Plus hired this guy to be into your computer systems too. Now, don't you feel comfortable with businesses that are engaged in computer type services? And why did this guy download on Sunday? He downloaded on Sunday at his mom's house because, of course, part of his probation doesn't allow him to have access to the internet. Oh, except that he's working there. That's the kind of thing that aggravates the stew out of us when we're trying to keep these deviants from your children. And then there's Jerome Lingenfelter. Jerome's 54. He's bonded out of jail, so he's out walking around as he has a constitutional right. Did I tell you that in 1989 he was arrested in Seminole County for a felony sexual offense against a child? It was reduced to a misdemeanor. And now we've arrested him for 5 counts of child porn, and the children were between 6 and 12 years of age that were involved in the child porn. That's right. Jerome's got a history too. And now he's back in possession of child porn. I hope that Brad prosecutes this one too, because he didn't learn his lesson when he got off light the last time. You know why he got off light the last time? Because what happened is they caught him in parking lots where he'd look at little children with their mothers while he would pleasure himself, where obviously people saw him and reported him to law enforcement. Don't you feel comfortable about walking through a parking lot knowing what he's capable of doing and thinking? Then there's Mark Burnett. Mark had a juvenile arrest for lewd battery with a child under 12. He's out. And he told our detectives, he says, I have this real strong desire to have sex with very young children. And instead of having sex with very young children, I view child porn. What? Are you kidding me? So he's charged so far. We still have investigation to do on all of these devices that we've collected. 1 count of child porn, 1 count of promotion of child porn. He is a customer service rep for Sitel, who contracts with Cox Cable. However, he does remote work from home. He apparently doesn't go to anyone's house. So he went further when our detectives were talking to him. He said, you know, when customers make me really, really mad, what I do? I download rage rape videos and watch them. Think about that for a minute. That's the kind of people my folks are arresting. This is a dangerous person. And then there's 27-year-old Johnny Eamon Jr. He's a registered sex offender. We arrested him in 2015 for possession of child pornography. He went to the Florida State prison system for 2 years. He got out. He's still on probation. Well, wonders never cease. He's in jail again for 41 counts of possession of child porn. He used the neighbor's Wi-Fi to download his child porn because he's on probation, and he wanted it to travel through somebody else's Wi-Fi. Understand, history shows us, as I've said a dozen times before, and I've already said today, people that are inclined to do this kind of deviant conduct don't change their patterns of activity. And the fact that we sent him to prison for 2 years didn't faze him at all. Made him become more careful, maybe, he thought, because he's sneaking around using his neighbor's Wi-Fi. Now's a good time for me to tell you, if you have a Wi-Fi at home, lock it up, passcode protect it, or you know what happens. Your neighbor who likes child porn is going to run it through your Wi-Fi. And then we have Jesse Whitehead. His preference was to watch child porn with children as young as 10. We've charged him with 76 counts of possession, 1 count promotion, and when he's not watching child porn and he's at work, he's a Taco Bell as assistant manager. Who would guess? Taco Bell in the daytime, child porn at night. Timothy Cottenham, he preferred to watch child porn of children as young as 2. We charged him with 100 counts of child porn. He's 32 years of age, and he lives with his parents. I know his parents are proud of him. And then there's Brooklyn Childs. Brooklyn Childs is 18. He downloaded child porn of infants, babies. He's currently charged with 3 counts of possession and 1 count of promotion. And here's David Yates. He's 42 and he still lives with mom. He prefers child porn where the children are as young as 4. So far we've got him charged with 4 counts and 1 count of promotion. So I know mom's proud of him. Here, son, you're 42 years of age. Hey, you can't make it on your own. Come on and move in with me. And now manage to embarrass me by downloading child porn while you're living at home with me. Now let me go over a few that we caught in the earlier parts of the operation, and because of their status, you may have already heard about them. This operation started in February, and we just wrapped it up in the last week or so. Dr. Brian Berkey, if you remember, he is 61 years of age. He has a PhD. He taught nuclear engineering. He's also been a tech consultant. He was the ex-director of public and environmental health, and we originally arrested him for 9 counts of possession of child porn. He bonded out of jail. When we completed our investigation of his computer, we went back and rearrested him for 300 counts more of child porn. He stayed in jail with us for a while, but he's now bonded out on a $609,000 bond. Well, I hope Dr. Brian Berkey enjoys his freedom. It'll be short-lived because I understand that Brad's prosecuting him. Brad, did I tell you, is a great prosecutor? And we're sending you, Dr. Berkey, to the Florida State Prison System for a very long time. Katie Butler is 30. She's married to Jesse Butler. And she had 40 counts of child porn charges filed against her because she had 40 different images on her cell phone. We also arrested Jesse Butler, her husband, for 1 count of child porn and 1 count of transmission. This is a family duo. It is a rare event for us to find ladies in possession of child porn, and she had 40 counts. A family affair, a family criminal affair, a family deviant criminal affair. Well, here's a news flash. Katie and Jesse don't get to stay in the same cell at the jail, nor will they get to stay in the same cell in the prison system. And then the last one we released to you at the time, he's out on bond now. He's facing 22 counts of child porn, is Richard Parr. He was a firefighter for Polk Fire Rescue. He quit, resigned upon his arrest. He's on bond. We're still evaluating his computer systems. There's a very good chance that he will receive more counts of child pornography. So this is our recent roundup. As I've said before, parents, you've got to pay close attention to your children and their devices. We have not located any of these victim children. And every time that image is retransmitted to someone else, those children are re-victimized again. We do send these images to NCMEC, which puts them in a large database, and they also work with us in an effort to identify who the victims are so we can rescue the children. We really, really, really would like to identify these children. Of course, for obvious reasons, we can't show you the child's pictures and say, do you know who this child is and where they may live, so we can go rescue the child. The horribleness of this child pornography is beyond your wildest deviant imagination. It breaks your heart. We want to know where the victims are, but you know what? There would be no victims if it weren't for these guys who wanted to watch and deal and trade in this. And they become more difficult to catch all the time. That's right. They're more difficult to catch. They're not changing their ways. They're changing their techniques. And we change our techniques as well, and that's how we find them. Now, I can tell you with child predators, when they're after children, they have to surface into the child's world on the internet to be successful, and it makes them easier to catch. These folks can go deep, make a deep dive into the internet, and they are a real challenge to find. So make no mistake about it. These people are dangerous. If they've not assaulted children, statistically speaking, the majority of them would, given the opportunity. And guess what? In addition to that, you can call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-226-TIPS. If you know of somebody dealing in this, and you can help us continue to mop up those that are deviant and would trade child porn and victimize children. Here's my message once again, and it should be very clear. If you're watching this broadcast and you're dealing in child porn, if we haven't got you, we will. If you've done your prison sentence and you're out and you're on probation, you better stay away from the child porn, or we'll have you back in jail and we'll smile the whole time. Any questions?
We could put them in jail for 5, 10, 20 years. If they don't die in jail, they come out, we still have a problem. Is there any way to get them to correct that behavior so the kids are safe? Because it seems like you have this growing population of nutballs that we've identified, but they're still out there.
That's exactly right. The research shows us that it is very rare for them to change their conduct. So when they get out, they're out, and they have the ability to get back into child pornography with the education that we gave them the last time of how to duck Grady.
But can their behavior be changed through therapy or beating them or whatever you want to do to them? Is there any way to do that? Because that's what we have to figure out.
They do put these folks into rehab. They do require counseling, but quite frankly, history shows us, research shows us, that it is rare for them to change their ways.
How do you get out in front of it? You know, what would you say to someone who maybe hasn't committed a crime yet, has a tendency? I mean, how do you get out in front of this kind of stuff?
Well, clearly, if they have a problem, and that is a problem, a deviant problem, they need to seek professional assistance and understand that they have a criminal addiction that's going to land them in the Florida State Prison, guaranteed, sooner or later. I mean, we've arrested this many now, and you go, whoo, they're done. No, we're not done. I have detectives out looking for you right this moment. And they'll be out today and tonight and tomorrow and 7 days a week. Our detectives are out looking for you, and we will find you and we will arrest you. And this is evidence. I mean, if there's one place in the United States that you'd go, dadgum, they don't give us a break, it's Polk County, Florida, and my detectives. But we still scoop them up hand over fist. But we work with NCMEC, who is phenomenal. We work with other police agencies across the state and the country. These people are deviants, and they're dangerous. and they pose a real danger to your child. So if you're a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you stumbled upon some child porn that your boyfriend has or your girlfriend has, call us. If you're not going to call us, get away from them and take your children and run, because they will try to groom and attack your child.
Sheriff, you mentioned Senator Brandis sentencing prison reform, and some of these people you felt would get out early. How certain are you that that legislation would include people like this?
Well, I'm certain, because it specifically outlined the forcible felonies that it did not include, and child porn was not one of those crimes. So Brandis pushed forward and told everybody in the legislature and in the community, oh, this is low-level, nonviolent felons. Well, first off, that's fiction. That is absolute, unequivocal fiction. Have you ever seen a low-level, nonviolent trafficker of methamphetamine or heroin or cocaine or fentanyl? That's what they call in low-level nonviolent. But then when you dig down into the legislation, it doesn't just cover drugs. It covers people like child pornographers. It covers people like defrauding the elderly. Now, isn't that something you want to early release someone from prison for? Someone who has gone out and stolen or defrauded the elderly of all their retirement or all their benefits? Don't you want to early release people like this back into the community? That's what they don't talk about. The devil's in the detail of that bill. Now, Brandis's version of that's TP'd right now, and the House passed their criminal justice reform, which law enforcement supported. If they stick with the House version and don't try to salt it when it goes back over to the Senate for their vote, we're okay. But be wary of any criminal justice reform that Brandis puts his fingerprints on that deals with reducing sentences of criminals who worked very hard and earned that time in prison. This is a forgiving criminal justice system. Of every 100 people that are arrested this year in Florida, statistically speaking, less than 4 of them will ever go to prison for any amount of time. That includes drug traffickers, burglars, thieves, robbers. Only 4 out of 100, because we have a forgiving criminal justice system, as we should. People make mistakes, but you don't make a mistake when you traffic in methamphetamine. And you know what? They marched all these people up to Tallahassee. You're too hard, you're too tough, you're too hard, you're too tough. I didn't see one mama, not one mama, of a victim of somebody that died of a heroin overdose, a fentanyl overdose, methamphetamine abuse. Not one mama up there saying, please let them out earlier so they can infect more people with their trafficking amounts and their kilos of methamphetamine and heroin. Not one. When are we going to pay attention to the victims and their families? That's who I'm interested in. The people who committed crimes and felonies deserve what they get. If you think we're too tough on you, let me give you a news flash. Behave. Quit directly engaging in the sale of drugs and robbing stores and burglarizing people's homes and their cars and stealing, and you won't go to prison. Behave like the rest of society. And if the Senate and the House need something extra to do, let's pay attention to the victims. Why not pay attention to the victims? Why not pay attention to the hardworking people that go to work and behave every day? Why not protect the 100 million plus tourists that are going to come to Florida to enjoy our attractions and our beautiful beaches? That's who we ought to be paying attention to, not the criminal suspects that they want to let out of prison to prey on the 100 plus million tourists that want to prey on the hardworking people. that want to prey on those and victimize them. I'm interested in paying attention to victims. I'm interested in paying attention to hardworking people in the state of Florida that are behaving and doing what's right. I'm interested in protecting and making it safe so the tourists want to come here to this beautiful state. Brandis wants to turn criminals loose on tourists and victims and the hardworking people. So you decide what's best. I can tell you, Brandis needs to get out and talk to the real people instead of whatever thin air he breathes wherever he is. Because they think like I think. They don't want criminals who have earned this prison sentence to get out early. They earned it, they deserve it. If you don't like it, don't commit crime, and nobody will lock you up. But once again, when the mamas of the dead kids pour into Tallahassee and say, we're being too tough on the drug traffickers, then I'll relent. I've not heard from any mamas of dead kids begging the Florida legislature to lessen prison sentences on drug traffickers. Not one. I don't know how many different ways I can say it, but if y'all stand there and record it, I'll say it some more ways. Any other questions?
Just one question about child pornography. You've been doing this a long time. How prevalent is this in your county and beyond?
Yeah, it's not very prevalent in our county because we stay after these child pornographers big time. But is it here? Absolutely. I would suggest to you, because we make it a top priority, that we arrest certainly more per capita than a lot of communities across this nation. But I can show you a lot of communities that make it a top priority like I do. There is a bottom to this well. There are not, statistically speaking, that many deviants that is that sick. A good old normal thug doesn't like a child pornographer. A good old normal criminal thug does not like a child pornographer or a child molester or a child abuser. There is the ability to stop this problem or to slow it down to a drip. And I would suggest to you that my folks have arrested a lot of people, and there's a whole lot less of them here now than there was, and we've still got a lot of them in prison as we speak, because Brad and his colleagues will lock you up in a New York second. Or Polk County second. All right? Any other questions? Thank you all very much. Help me tell the world that if you'll just come to us with tips, we'll arrest some more and be here again next week.